Also wearing an alumni shirt, and that's my school alumni shirt.
That is amazing, right? Like we share so much of nostalgia with those memories and with our school friends that even after so many years, you still feel that happiness as well as that pride while wearing that merchandise. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Enlightened Classroom with Surashree. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Professor Ramesh Venkateswaran, sir. Sir is an adjunct professor in IIM Bangalore, is the chairman of the Board of Governors for IIT Palakkad, is an alumni of the prestigious IIT Bombay, who recently celebrated their year reunion, and an alumnus of IIM Bangalore as well. So, who better to have this amazing conversation than Ramesh sir? So, sir, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Surashree. Always a pleasure. And before I start, I once again want to compliment you and your team for the excellent work that you people did for me to get the 1973 class of 1973 yearbook out on time. And it's been very well appreciated by a lot of people. So you and I both can take the credit for this.
No, thank you, sir. The team had such a lovely time working with you and working with some of your batchmates as well to create this masterpiece. It is actually a product of pride for us as well. And so now that we are talking about alumni, the theme of today's episode all actually revolves around how do we actually engage alumni, right? Because when students are in school or in college, people are very tight and then they have that sense of connectivity with their alma mater. But once they graduate and of course, like slowly 5 years, 10 years down the line, it is very difficult to find that level of engagement with the alumni. So, what do you think are, some of the practices that you have seen that has worked in this education ecosystem to connect with the alumni?
Well, Sureshi, it's a huge question. I was just telling you, I've been lucky to be a member of three amazingly great institutions of the country at my school level, at the undergrad level, and at the postgrad level. Each one is in the top of the bracket. So I've just been fortunate. Each one has its own way of engaging. Each of them have their own methods of getting the best of alumni. But if I were to answer this question at a starting point, since we're just kicking off this chat, one of the things I've seen over the last, well, it's since I left school is about 60 years or whatever it is. What I did find is, we realize the value of the alumnus realizes the value of the institution maybe after 15, 20 years. And that's because as you leave, there is a little bit of a, bonding with the people.
Yes.
And then what happens is you get occupied with your managing your life. You got you go from school, let's say. I'm just saying from school. You get into college, so there's the college activities, then the job activities, then you get married and your family. So you the alumnus is real the school or the college network is really not on your priority. There are small engagements that happen. I think what happens is, and in my own experience, is it's really when you're in your mid 30s to late mid 40s, when your family, if you're in your life cycle stage, you sort of settle down. You're married. Let's say you got two children who are grown up, a couple of children, if you have children. You then get time to think of other things, and then you reconnect with you suddenly start reconnecting. I must say, people like us, we passed out, and therefore, when there was no technology. Today, I would think alumni as groups are very well connected. The Googles and the WhatsApp of this world get them connected. But how well are they connected with the institution? That's a question mark. And I think in India we have a long way to go on alumni engagement with the institution, unlike what we see in the West and so on. So I would think the reality is we have to allow alumni to settle down in life before they can really think back to. So there is a lot of engagement within individuals or groups, small groups. But if you talk of a formal engagement between the institution and the alumni, uh, I would think 15 to 20 years after you pass out of the institution, the emotions come. It's like a relationship, a man and woman or whatever. The early period, it's a honeymoon, so everybody's gung-ho. Then you start taking things for granted. You're busy, each one is busy, and then 15-20 years you realize, hey, this is a great relationship. Those were the days, kind of stuff. So I think that's what happens.
Yes. So, sir, what do you think are the challenges that education institutions face? And I would want to, categorize this in school as well as college. So, if we can look at the school education ecosystem, what kind of challenges they face while connecting with their alumni, and the college ecosystem, what kind of challenges they face while connecting with the alumni.
Oh, I think I'm fairly clear on this. I don't have too many doubts on this because I've been very actively involved with my school, with my IIM, and now recently with the IIT, thanks to the 50th year. I think, see, I believe very strongly that, see, the alumni institution engagement is just one more relationship. And it could be between two friends, it could be between a boss and a subordinate, it could be between colleagues, it could be between two partners, and so on and so on. Now, in any relationship, I think a relationship is built on the strength of emotion and not on transaction. And and I think this is where, in my view, Indian institutions have not really delivered. We have not engaged with alumni adequately, in my view, from the time they leave, and just keep in touch with them. Keep in touch with them, give them opportunities to come back, just keep engaging with them. And I think the pressure has always been, let's go to alumni for funds.
Yeah.
We need to get funds from alumni. We need to get, donations from alumni. Now, my view is that if you are engaged sufficiently emotionally, the checkbook is always available. And if you're not engaged emotionally, then any amount of money in the bank is not going to come to you. And we saw this in the recent, in all our fundraising, in our batch get-togethers, in our. So my view is, I think my view is that institutions need to spend a lot of time engaging with alumnus, not with the objective of seeing how they will give back money, but how they will be emotionally connected with your institution. And if that happens, the writing a check is almost a natural consequence. That's one. And then, of course, I'm just saying writing a check, but what I meant is giving time to the institution. You know, people coming back and spending sabbaticals, coming as visiting faculty in schools and colleges, spending time with students, industry engagements, opening industry to them. I think all of this happens almost as a consequence of being connected emotionally.
Yes, yes, sir. I completely understand. And I feel exactly what you feel with this topic, right? That the institutes need to connect with the alumni on a regular basis. That's the first part. And then make that connection a very emotional connection. And then, the alumni can give back to the ecosystem and to the current students as well. That is something more than funds. That is in terms of mentorship, or that is in terms of becoming a visiting faculty and giving them the real life lessons that they have learned through their experience as well. So, sir, what do you think are some of the best practices that institutions in India follow, or institutions globally follow, where their alumni are amply connected with the institution and where they have a very good alumni, student, and institute relationship?
Well, I really don't know what's happening in many institutions, to be honest with you. It's very difficult for me to say. I am limited to my sphere of knowledge. But what I think is, I think um, institutions are looking at engaging at multiple levels. When I look at my school, for example, we um, I'm in fact sitting in the Nilgiris right now, and I was in my school yesterday with talking to students. So I think it starts with, my first thing is, I believe alumni should be role models for the students who are currently studying. And therefore, I think institutions are engaging with alumni in calling them back to campus, chatting with students, uh, sharing their life's lessons with students. So that's the first level, which is non monetary, It's about, again, it's a very attitudinal thing of role modeling, mentoring, and I think alumni are the best role models for young people. You know, uh, I can talk about anybody who's done a great job in the world, but when you say that this guy studied in your class, he sat in that chair, he ate in this mess, then you know there is an emotional connect. So I would think uh, that's happening to some extent, but I personally think it needs to happen far more. And this is especially so in a country like ours, where, when I look at the IITs especially, or colleges, undergrad colleges, I see students are amazingly intelligent, amazingly smart. It's just that their background is that they don't have the necessary exposure to make them, deal with international, quote unquote, international conditions. So we always come across as very tentative. We come across as very unsure of ourselves because of language, because of the background. And it's these places, I believe, that our alumni can be huge drivers of a character of an institution, I would say. Since you're talking to me on the IIT platform, I see that as a huge potential. I also see that now because I'm a chairman of an IIT, and I see the amount of potential we have, and we're trying to work on things like this.
Amazing. So, sir, now that you have your own fair share of experience dealing with students and dealing with alumni, as I know one of your stint was also being a principal, I think, of one of the schools, and then now with IITs and IIMs and everything. So, what do you think are some of the measures that the institute can take to build this emotional connection over time? And and congratulations on your recent successful reunion, I would say. So if you can share that success story from the reunion as well.
Okay, it wasn't any school I went as a principal. I went to my own school. So
Wow.
I am the only one in the 170-year history, the one and only alumnus who headed the school. So I have a very distinct. So this is what I'm saying, Surashree. You see, I passed out of that school in 1967. Now that's 33 plus 24, 57 years ago. My children studied in that school, and I went as the principal of that school. I was a member of the board of governors of the school. I was a member of the so you need people like me, and there are many people like me. I'm not the only one who's connected to the school. Tomorrow morning, I have a golf game. I come into the Nilgiris. I send out a message. Who are all the old students here? Let's meet and have a golf game.
Wow.
So 8 of 10 of us are going to meet tomorrow morning, and we. So the point I'm trying to make is that if schools can encourage these kinds of get-togethers, schools need to take it. See what happens in alumni. I do this consciously across because I've been a principal. I still wear the headmaster hat in trying to bring networks together. But if I were to look at generally, if I come into the hills, I'm a old student, I'll meet my classmate and I'll go home.
Yes.
Whereas when I move into any city, whether I'm going to Bombay, Jaipur, Hyderabad, I say, who are the old students available in this city? Let's meet. I think that's a hangover. So I would think if institutions, I'm talking about the school, since you specifically asked about the school, I would think that this is very important. And so today, a person like me, and since you're talking about alumni, I am so fortunate, I have friends who are 40 years older to 30 years younger to me, 40 years younger to me, and I have a huge network of friends. Kids who are, 25, 26 years old, 50 years, 40 years younger to me, because we wear the same school logo.
Yes.
And so I think, and this is what you cannot leave it to the alumni to do this, because they don't see this as an important thing. As I said, I am extremely fortunate because I have worn the headmaster hat, and therefore I'm behaving more a headmaster. So many of my many of my juniors joke, saying, he says, "You are always the headmaster everywhere," kind of a thing. They call me headmaster. But the point I'm trying to make is, if the institution can take the initiative to make these things happen on a regular basis, then when you cut across generations, so today, as I said, in my school, I'm just talking about school. We can talk about college also. Uh, Colleges are much larger, so it's the emotional connects are very much more difficult. But today, I would think of anybody who passed out anywhere from 1955 to 2022 or 2023. That's 55, 45, and to 67 years. We meet together and, we are all there is on a first name basis. Now, once you're like this, then anything the school asks you will do. It's a blank check. So I would think we should be spending and doing a lot more of this. Uh, you asked about my reunion. See, the reunion, what happens, Surashree, is at the end of the day, I kept telling my classmates this. I said, please understand that this IIT Bombay has been doing exceedingly well for the last 60 years without us. So we are the ones who benefit from it as alumnus. It's not only the institute which wants something from the alumnus. The alumnus gets a lot from the institute. First of all, I keep telling people, to be honest with you, the first thing we get is when somebody says, when I say I'm from IIT Bombay, my 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 share value goes up a little bit. People look at you, and I said, listen, that's something we have to owe it to the institute. We have to be grateful to the institute. The institute has given us a status which we may not necessarily deserve, which many of us don't deserve. So we need to be thankful to that, and we need to express our gratitude to that through all of this. So, but it's a two-way. It's like a marital relationship. You need both partners to work towards maintaining that relationship. It's not only one of them who can do it. So I think these are the ways we do it. So for example, you asked about my batch. It's crazy. It's unfortunate that we really got together after 50 years. We've really not been engaged in many. Individuals have been. So how do we sort of institutionalize this? Maybe these are the challenges that opportunities that institutes have.
Yes. So one more thing that I'm taking back from this answer of yours, sir, is that the institute should not just like encourage the relationship between the institute and the alumni to be better. They should also encourage the relationship between the alumni, between themselves to be better as well.
Absolutely.
Yes. And sir, like if you can walk us through the various activities or the various results that your reunion had at IIT Bombay, maybe, it would motivate somebody, it would inspire somebody.
Yeah, okay. I can talk to you about that a little bit firsthand because I know what happened. So our institute, I mean, when we were getting together for the 50th year, uh, I must say many of the other, IITs, we have very large batch sizes. So the institutions, the alumni are generally close. That means you'll have a chemical engineering group, mechanical engineering group, or a hostel group, and so on and so forth. The across the board alumni, it's too difficult to manage. So we got together for the first time, and I must say that it was a couple of people who drove this. And hats off to these guys for having brought us together. So a couple of them got together and says, our 50th year reunion is coming. What do we do? And they narrowed it down to 4, 5 people. So he reached out to 3, 4 of us. So 4 to 5 to 6 of us really anchored this whole thing. Then we sat down and said, what do we do and how do we do it? So there were 3 parts to the whole thing, if I were to look at it. One is, as alumnus, the first priority was, let's get back. We need to go back to 50 years, let our hair down, regress into teenagers. We were all 18 years old, 17 and a half, 18 years old when those days, those days, I got into IIT at 15 and a half, 16, senior Cambridge. Today you get out of school at about 17, but many of us actually entered college at 16. We had an IIT 5-year degree at 21.
Wow.
At 21, we had the degree in our hands. Those were the days when you could pass out of school at 15 and a half, 16 and get into IIT, 5 years into IIT, and you're out. So we said, what do we want to do as a member of this? So what happens again, Surashri, is many of these alumni, and I am a little different on that. We must do this for the college, we must do that for the college. And I said, listen, we've done nothing for 50 years. I can't see us doing anything substantial. But what we can do is we can all meet and go back to our 50-year days and regress into our, teenager days. So that was the first objective. Then we said, what do we do? How do we give back something to the institute? So we said, let's do something, and we that was the second component of our thing, was to give back something. Through ups and downs and discussions, we broke it down into two broad areas. One was, we said, let's do a project, fund a project, and we funded a project. So there were, when you have, all of us are 70 years old, so you can imagine the amount of wisdom and opinions and counter opinions. So every time we suggest one, somebody will say something, no, this is not okay, that's okay. So finally, the core group, we said, listen, we have to take a call. You are never going to keep everybody happy. Somebody has to take a call. And we had a couple of experts. And in fact, in our batch, we have probably one of the biggest dadas of automobile engineering in the world. And so we said, we have this resource with us who is an authority on automobiles. He retired as the head of R&D of Daimler Benz and worked with Mercedes Benz for 38 years. And I said, so we said, let's go into automotive. So we actually funded a project, and we said we'll collect about 8 crores of rupees for that. So that was one. And then another person who's a faculty, we said, let's recognize young faculty for research. So we got into that. And then one of the members said, okay, my job is to collect the funds. So each one of us, and I said, listen, I can't do all of this. I don't know anything about vehicles. I don't know anything about this. I'll do the yearbook. I don't need anybody else. So I think the fun was over about 8 to 10 months. People like me or the core group of us, we were very fortunate. And this is why I would encourage anybody in alumni activities, I would encourage them to take the role of organizing it. Because at the end of the day, I'm the winner. Because I interacted with about 80 to 150 people.
Wow.
You see, I got a chance to talk to people I didn't know in college. I got a chance to reconnect with people I knew in college. And that was a great fun. And then talking to people, discussing with people, how do we go about it, the challenges of management, the challenges of execution. And in the process, we interacted extremely closely with the institute itself, the dean of alumni, the alumni office, this office, that office. So overall, I think it was an extremely exciting and fascinating experience of 12 months, 12 to 14 months. I got to know all of you. Um, and today I say, okay, if you want to print anything and if you want to think, I know these young people, guys who are sitting somewhere, just go to them. I mean, that's it. So I think the point I'm trying to make is when you get into these kinds of engagements, you actually come out a winner as a beneficiary. So I, our get together was very, very good in that respect, and connecting up with a whole lot of people. Yeah,
No, that's amazing to hear. And just like how your energy changed, right? While you were talking about your school friends and while you were talking about your college friends, like I could completely imagine like being there, being one of your batchmates. I think this is what the memories and those times kind of do to you. It takes you in some of the most happiest time, and that happiness is very contagious as well.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yes. So,
And I
sir,
think
any
the
parting thoughts that you have?
parting thought is, I think all of us must consciously devote time to alumni activity, to meeting alumni, not classmates. I'm talking about alumni means the bond is the institution. And as I said, you meet fascinating people across generations, a musician, an artist, a social worker, a this, a that. And you get to meet so many different people. But for me, Surashree, if I had to sum up, and I'm very clear about this, the single largest benefit that you get out of being active in your own alumni network at a school level, at a college level, is all our lives after we leave school and college, a large amount of our life is wearing facades. I'm a senior executive, I am this, I am that, you are a CEO, I am this. In the alumni network, you can throw away your mask. You go back to, using all the choicest words, abuses that you used to use when you were kids, and you let yourself go. And I think it's a great stress buster. Let your hair down, throw away the mask, be yourself, regress into youth, childhood, college days, whatever it is, your language changes, your slang changes, and I think for me that's one of the other reasons why I'm a great fan of these networks. I wouldn't miss an alumni get together anytime in anywhere in the country. uh, and that's my message to people who are disengaged from, we say yaar college ho gaya, khatam ho gaya, what the hell, I think whether we enjoyed the college or school or not, we are what we are because of that. And secondly, I think it's a great place to, as I said, let your hair down and meet some people with a common bond, with a common thing. It's not that I'm meeting some great musician. Sure, I met a musician, but I have nothing more in common with that person. But today I know we all slept on that same corner, we ate in that same place, and therefore we have a common story, and that binds us.
Exactly, exactly. I think people coming in from all the backgrounds, because even after our IITs and IIMs, we tend to choose different careers, right? And people coming in from different backgrounds and still feeling that same worry-free attitude and that same worry-free environment. I think that is extremely precious, especially in today's day and age when there is so much of stress and there's so much of pressure out there. I think in every field and in every job, even when you're following your passion in a creative field, or even if, when you're following your passion with a multinational company, there is that stress and that pressure which comes in. But I think, sir, you have summarized it extremely well, that alumni and your network and your friends and your institute, this all has the power to kind of make you forget about that worry, and to go back to the youthful days where there were like really smaller worries, like, right, like examinations, or people not sharing tiffins or something like that. And I think all of us would take that any day over the different issues of adulthood. So thank you
Absolutely.
so much, sir. Thank you for giving us so much of your time and such amazing suggestions. I'm sure a lot of institutes, a lot of alumni associations are going to benefit from your suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you, Surashree. Well, a pleasure talking to you as always, and all the very best. All the very best.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.